Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to VRL. And we are here in a very sunny Azerbaijan in the capital city of Baku tonight for 18 minutes of qualifying, followed by your standard 50% race. My name is JP, I'm your commentator, and 12 drivers taking to the track tonight for what should hopefully be a wonderful Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Definitely one of those circuits, I always say it every time I commentate, but definitely one of those circuits that's quickly becoming one of the popular ones on the Formula 1 calendar. First introduced in, I believe, 2016, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2015. And we've had a whole host of different winners. Sergio Perez, actually the only repeat winner around this circuit. So interesting to see who is going to take the crown tonight. As I mentioned, 12 drivers on the track currently. We've got the two V-Carbs out there and the two McLarens, two Williams as well, and two Alpines, two Aston Martins, and then we've got the lone Red Bull and the lone Ferrari looking to pull a bit of weight out there. But Azerbaijan, definitely one of the more difficult circuits on the calendar, it has to be said. Walls very, very close, and unlike Monaco, this is very high speed, so there's definitely a better chance for a little bit of chaos, shall we say, as the track is very high speed, but the walls lie very, very close. So very easy to make one little mistake, and that is either your qualifying over or even your race over. Definitely a very high chance of safety cars here tonight as well, so definitely be on the lookout for Bernd Mailander in, I believe, the Aston Martin is ran at Azerbaijan, but don't hold me to that. And we watch on board with Papa Rim, who is just coming down the... I don't even know what sort of adjective you can describe the length of the Azerbaijan street circuit straight with. It's stupidly long. So definitely going to be hitting some high speeds here, and definitely going to be one that's, I hope, will be very good to watch. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So Paparim just coming through the first sector, then getting very, very close to the walls, but just managing to shy away from those said barriers. DRS slams shut on the rear wing of that Williams. I must say that special Williams livery, I think it's a little bit slept on, I must say. It is a very, very nice livery, it has to be said. And Papa Rim taking it through the first sector, a 35.8 first sector for the Williams driver. And we will see where that stacks up come the end of the session. Through the I am stupid corner. I'm happily going to say I don't know any of the corner names for this circuit, and if I did, I would not be able to pronounce them. I don't even know if they have corner names at this circuit, so I do apologise to any Azerbaijani listeners of this race. Is there, you can see Papa Rim already finding the walls here in qualifying. Very lucky to not get damage as he makes his way onto the very long straight. Again, just a little tag of the wall, and that is the thing. Precision around here is so key with the speeds that you're doing. It's very, very easy to take it a little tiny bit over that limit, and that is your lap over. But Papa Rim will see this lap out, drives for the line, and it's a 1 minute 41.0, inevitably quickest. He is the first man to go for a lap. We've got Wise Wizard, who's just coming down the main straight as well. We've got Ali, who goes into P1 with a 1 minute 40.7. Exfertos with a 1:41 flat, and that is very nice to see. Arctic Ryan with a 1:40.7. Wise Wizard goes into third with a 1:40.9. Hawkeye goes to P1 with a 1 minute 40.4. That's a great lap from the Aston Martin driver. And plenty more drivers still waiting to cross the line. Vigo is just going on to his first lap. Tortuguita is about to come towards the line. Tommy Turbo makes his way towards the line now and goes 7th with a 1 minute 42.7. We now ride on board with Tortuguita, who comes across the line. The only Ferrari here tonight. So looking to do the Tifosi proud. And he goes into P2 with a 1 minute 40.6. Good lap from the Ferrari man. And we now just await Vigo, who looks like he's maybe doing a double out lap here. Is the Red Bull driver. Rassam is just going through the first sector. Lee Dog still in the pits. XRL Flavor on his out lap, letting everyone through as Ali gets a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with the dude PS. I did hear some contact. I didn't actually see it. And we can see there's a yellow flag here. We presume that's for the Red Bull letting Rassam go. But that is already a little bit of drama here in qualifying. Only 6 minutes into the session, only 1 lap been laid down for most drivers. And already some drama going on. Rassam is not on a lap, I don't believe. So they are your first runs, ladies and gentlemen. And Hawkeye about 2/10 out in front. But of course, we are yet to see the big dog. Lee Dog now comes out on track then. And I'm sure that he will have some pace that he wants to put on show here tonight. Obviously challenging for the Drivers' World Championship. So definitely going to be a man to keep your eyes on in terms of this qualifying session. Yellow flags again, and Vigo has actually left the session and retired on track. So I'm not exactly sure what that's about, but Vigo, you would imagine, will be starting 13th unless Ali falls all the way down to about P9. And then he will start behind the Red Bull driver. Rassam still not on a lap. He's coming into the pits. XRL Flavor is on a lap, so we will pick up the McLaren, who's just making his way through the first sector. We'll have a little bit of traffic to negotiate, I think. Papa Rim is also on a lap. Exfertos ahead is on a lap, so he won't have to negotiate any traffic. Tortuguita is on a lap, as is Arctic Ryan. So a lot of drivers doing 2 runs on their sets of soft compound tyres, which is definitely an interesting choice. I did not think we'd be seeing that, but Tyre Deg obviously not proving to be a massive inconsistency. Here's Papa Rim then. Currently P7 was the first man to set a lap, would be the first man to set a second lap. Needs a 13 millisecond improvement to go up to P6. Currently P7, and he goes to provisional pole by 4 milliseconds. Papa Rim snatches pole position away, but you could see in the background there, it's now this man's turn. Lee Dog, who is definitely going to be a man to try and contend with, rubbing against the walls as he makes his way out of turn 3. But I'm sure that isn't going to be something that plagues him a lot of time. Exfertos now goes up to provisional pole position with a 1 minute 40.3. XRL Flavor did a 41.8. Currently sits in P8 just ahead of his teammate Tommy Turbo. And Lee Dog now makes his way through the first sector. A 35.3 for the Sauber driver. And you can see he is really driving on the limit here tonight. He is not leaving a margin at all. And this is only his first lap. And that shows the confidence that Lee has got in this car. You can imagine he's been practicing beforehand. You can see he knows exactly where all of the extremities are. You can see he knows exactly where he wants to place that car. He has used a bit more battery on, let's say, the main lap and decided not to save as much for the main straight, which is definitely a choice that I personally wouldn't have made, and it doesn't look like many drivers have made that particular choice. But we'll see how it does for Lee Dog then, who's just coming down the main straight now, opting actually to not use any overtake, just using hot lap. That ERS deployment's going to run out now, so this is a long while he's not going to have ERS for. Where's it going to take him? It's provisional pole, a 1 minute 39.5, the first man in the 1 minute 39s, but I am very sure that there is improvement in that lap for Lee Dog, and that should definitely be a warning shot to the rest of the grid. He's already, what, 8/10 clear of the man in P2, and he has definitely got time in that lap. That is definitely a scary lap to watch from Lee Dog. Ali now goes on to his next lap on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. Wise Wizard is also on a lap just ahead, so we will stick with Wise Wizard, who's just coming through this tricky little double chicane at the top of the castle. Makes his way through nice and cleanly though. No damage on the Williams. So definitely may have grazed the wall, but nothing absolutely major. Big braking zone. That is very hard to get the car hooked up as you race downhill while trying to stop the car at the same time. And you can see here 87% battery for Wise Wizard. Everyone really favoring just holding the battery until the main straight, then you get it all down, get the highest top speed possible. You can see 205, 6, 7, 8, 9, 211 mile an hour before the deployment runs out. That then drops to 209, and Wise Wizard stays P8, improves by about a tenth of a second, needs about another tenth if he wants to get ahead of Ali. We did just see, I believe that was the Dude PS crossing the line. He's made his way into P2 with a 1 minute 40.1, so big lap there from the Dude PS, who had made a mistake on his first lap and was sat P12, I believe, with a 1 minute 50 something. So big improvement there. Ali now goes into P2 with a 1 minute 39.7. So definitely some pressure on Lee Dog to try and get that next lap hooked up. He's just coming across the line now to start his next lap. So it will be interesting to see. Is he going to save a bit more battery? Will he save a bit more deployment to then try and keep some of that pace down the main straight? Rassam is crossing the line for his first lap, and he goes into P10 with a 1 minute 40.8, 3 milliseconds off of Wise Wizard. The gap's very, very close here. We're going to get back on board with Lee Dog, though, who is currently the top man in this session, making his way through the first sector again. And let's see what this lap is going to produce for the Sauber driver. About a tenth down in the first sector, but you'd imagine there's a tenth somewhere else in this lap, if not in the final sector. But that's a big moment there for Lee, who just has to back out of it, and that will be lap over. Big moment on the exit coming towards the castle, and that is Lee's next lap over. Will still get another shot at another lap, as we see Hawkeye is on a lap, but that was big contact with the barrier there. You can't imagine this lap's going to be an improvement after such a bash with the wall like that. Arctic Ryan isn't on a lap. Tortuguita, I believe, is on a lap, although has just backed out of it. And I believe that is all we've got at the minute. Lee was on a lap, but doesn't improve. Ali coming across the line. So it is just Hawkeye who's on a lap at this moment. We'll have, I believe that's a Williams ahead of him to get past, or maybe a V-Carb actually. Makes his way towards the main straight. Does not have much battery left for this main straight. Has a lot of deployment. Doesn't have the actual battery though. Is going to drain as much as he possibly can. Down to 0% very early. Only going about 205 miles an hour. And you could see other people doing about 209, 211. Goes up into P4 though with a 1 minute 40.1. But definitely Hawkeye, if you are watching, I would learn from that experience. Try and get a bit more time out of that car by saving some battery. His teammate Arctic Ryan is now on a lap. I believe Tortuguita is coming into the pits, so it will be just Arctic Ryan who has the track to try and lay a lap down. Makes his way into the castle section now, keeping it very tight, very neat through there. A little bit of understeer on the entry to that corner, but now blasts his way towards the downhill braking zone. It looks all hooked up for Arctic Ryan, but the question is it quick? Makes his way across the curbs. That looked very nice as he now makes his way downhill. One more corner to go where you've really got to think. Now get on the power as quickly as possible and just keep your foot pinned for as long as you can. Little bit of a downshift there. Graze of the wall. Deploys the battery once more. It looks like he's having the same issue as his teammate did, and he is going to come into the pit lane. So who do we watch for now then? We've got the McLaren of Tommy Turbo. He'll be the first man to lay down his last lap. It looks like Hawkeye has actually stayed out in favor of doing another outlap maybe, or is he coming in now? I'm not 100% sure. It does look like he's coming in now, actually, so... Yes, okay. Hawkeye is coming in. So it will be Tommy Turbo that gets the first shot at a lap here at the end of qualifying. Yellow flag in Sector 1. That will just be for the Alpine slowing down to let other drivers through on his outlap. Here comes Tommy Turbo then, round the final corner now. And let's see what this lap is going to do for the McLaren driver. Across the line he comes then, and this is it, make or break for Tommy Turbo. Needs about a, what is that, 30 millisecond improvement to get ahead of his teammate, who will obviously have another shot as well. And that's a big moment there for Tommy Turbo, coming out of turn 2, I believe that is. And surely you can't imagine there's going to be an improvement on this lap with a big moment like that. And now cascading his way into the walls as well. Very lucky to not pick up damage there, but now just driving with aggression after that earlier mistake. And you can see he's only 76 milliseconds down, so it must have been a scruffy first sector anyway for Tommy Turbo. So still a chance of improvement for the McLaren man. Ali is on a lap as well, just making his way through turn 1. He's the closest challenger to Lee. He's the only man in the 1 minute 39s, as is Lee. Dude PS is also on a lap, so these times are going to start rumbling in, and this is going to be crunch time for all of these drivers as the Dude PS with a big moment on the rear end there, and that is surely going to cost him time. You can see the car flailing around as he tries to extract as much pace out of it as he can, but that car looking like a complete and utter handful. He's burning the overtake to try and gain some of that time back, but surely that is the Dude PS's lap. Really harmed as he now goes deep into the next corner, grazes the wall as well. So lucky, these drivers, to not be picking up any sort of damage, but he now gets beached on the sausage curb. The Dude PS driving with aggression after the car tried to throw him in the wall. He kept it out the wall, but is gonna lose time because of it. Now making his way to the line then, DRS wide open. He's the first of the big hitters to get a lap. Is it going to be improvement? It is improvement to provisional pole. The Dude PS, even with that middle sector, still gets the time that he needed to. Ali's getting a tow from his teammate down the main straight though, so this is going to be interesting. Lee's gone off in the middle sector. He's off into the runoff. Lee isn't going to get another chance. DRS opens for Ali. Can he snatch pole position away from Dude? Yes, he can. By 30 milliseconds, Ali goes on to provisional pole. Lee still sat in the runoff. What am I seeing? Lee's been disqualified from the session. Furtos is now on a lap and is coming through the final sector. Can anyone match the pace of Ali? A 1 minute 39.3. Hawkeye goes into P3. Lee is going to start from 14th because he didn't move in time. He's been disqualified from the session. Furtos now rises up to P3. Papa Rim's on another lap as well. He's 2 tenths up, could improve up to P3. What an incredible end to this Azerbaijan qualifying session. Papa Rim now coming to the line. Looks like he's actually going to come into the box here. He is. So Papa Rim won't get another shot. Arctic Ryan looks like he'll be one of the next to take the line. There's a few more before him as Wise Wizard rises up into P3. XRL Flavor improves but not position. Arctic Ryan now improves to P3. That is your qualifying over, ladies and gentlemen. And it is Ali on pole position. The Dude PS lines up on the front row. It's Arctic Ryan who takes 3rd place. Wise Wizard in 4th with Furtos in 5th. But the big story of qualifying, the pressure got too much. Lee crumbled and now starts from 14th place. And it is not easy to overtake around here. That is going to be a monster task to try and get past, especially when you consider the pace of Ali, who already looked to maybe at least match him, if not beat him, ladies and gentlemen, we have got an incredible race coming up for you. Do not go anywhere. The Grand Prix is up next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the formation lap here in Baku, and let's get those tyres up then. Not a very split grid, only 4 on hard compound tyres. I completely forgot to mention that Ali had that 5-place grid penalty, so pole position ripped away from his grasp down to P6, and starting on the hard compound tyres. So going to be interesting to see how he can try and come back. The dude PS obviously inherits pole position. Arctic Ryan up to the front row. And that strategy guide is telling us that it's going to be a 2-stop race. But I do wonder if that'll be the case after seeing not really any tyre deg after qualifying. So the dude PS for the first time, I believe the first time ever, starts from pole. It's the Arctic Ryan in P2 with Wise Wizard 3rd, Exfertos 4th and Hawkeye 5th. Ali starts 6th with Tortuguita 7th, Papa Rim 8th with Rassam 9th, XRL Flavor starts 10th with Tommy Turbo, who's been disqualified from the formation lap, in 11th. Venom starts 12th with then Vigo, who's also been disqualified, in 13th. And the big story of qualifying, Lee Dog, starts down in 14th place. So the dude PS makes his way down the main straight then, and will slot in to P1. And like I say, I believe that's the first time that he's done that. So will there be a few nerves for the dude PS as he lines up on the grid with the potential of a race win on his hands? It's definitely not going to be easy to cope with that mental pressure, but what he will take... I'm trying to think of the way to word it, to be honest. What he will take with great happiness is that it's the shortest run down to turn 1 on the Formula 1 calendar. Only about 150, 250 meters, I think. So definitely not a great opportunity for him to lose the position down into turn 1 unless he gets quite the poor getaway. So we will see how that goes. You can see they're all lining pretty straight. Nobody really looking towards anyone. Lee now gets lined up then, and we look towards those fabled red lights. 5 red lights ahead of the drivers here in Azerbaijan, and it's lights out, and away we go. Lee with a good start at the back. The dude PS chops across to cut over Arctic Ryan, and we've got a near spinner there. Exfertos and Arctic Ryan already making contact. 3 abreast as we go into turn 2 and 3 abreast in behind. There's big contact going on as we go down into turn 2, but they all seem to make it out safely. I can't see any damage for anyone. Vigo's lost a bit of time and is already at the back. Lee Dog is already up to 12th place and looking to snatch away 11th from the McLaren as we've got a Williams backwards there, and it's a car park down at turn 3. The Williams is, I believe, Wise Wizard. It is Wise Wizard. Everyone now manages to get through, but that is a big car park down there. And what that leaves us with is about half the pack, 3.5 seconds ahead of everyone else. So the dude PS will be delighted to hear that. Your rival Lee Dog, who probably will be the main favourite to win this race, he's now stuck down in 12th place. His progress has been halted, and he's got 3.5 seconds to catch up to your train. Absolutely massive. 2 seconds already to Exfertos and Hawkeye, who had their collision down at turn 1. But the dude PS and Arctic Ryan still deciding to battle it out for now. That was the dude PS making a bit of contact with the outside barrier, but nothing doing in terms of big harm. Ran a little bit wide there, but has plenty more battery than Arctic Ryan. And the dude PS is going to end lap 1 in the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Lee Dog still sits 12th. No DRS for the first lap. That will be enabled next lap. So the dude PS continues on in first. It's Arctic Ryan in second place. Then 2 seconds back to Exfertos and Hawkeye. Ali runs 5th with Tommy Turbo in 6th place. But will it be that way for long? Because Tortuguita is looking for a move at turn 1. Just has to back out of it for the time being. Then it's another 2-second gap to Papa Rim. Lee Dog down the inside at turn 1, and there's contact there as XRL Flavor has a big moment on the exit of turn 1. So Lee Dogs are already up to 10th place, but big gaps opening up already. The 2 leaders, though, streaking clear in the early stages of this Grand Prix. As there you can see the dude PS a little bit more contact with the wall. that shouldn't harm him too much. Just needs to get those early race nerves calmed down a little bit, settle into the race, understand your objective, and race like you mean it. Arctic Ryan still putting him under pressure. You can see grazing the walls almost everywhere is the Dude PS. The Dude PS, sorry. And you can imagine that pressure from Arctic Ryan definitely isn't going to be helping the Dude PS, who has a big moment there and runs very, very wide. That will have been a track limits warning. So the Dude PS struggling early on. That's not going to help his tyre wear either, brushing the walls constantly. And Arctic Ryan is in prime position to try and take this position with the DRS as they make their way out of the final corner. Once again running very wide is the Dude PS. I wouldn't be surprised if that's his second warning already. And with the ERS button enabled, he's got more battery as well. He's going to have the DRS. The Dude PS isn't even draining. He knows he can't fight this, as now with the DRS, here comes the Aston Martin to the inside. And before the braking zone is even a consideration, Arctic Ryan leads the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's the Dude PS in second with Furtos in third. And Wise Wizard is out of the session after a crash. And we've got our virtual safety car, our first virtual safety car, deployed in this race. We're riding on board with Vigo to see if we can see where it happened. You can see it's on the outside wall, interestingly enough. But that virtual safety car being called at the perfect time for Arctic Ryan, just snatched the lead away, now gets to recharge the battery. And already, the walls of Azerbaijan claiming their first victim. Wise Wizard already out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I don't know if that was contact with another driver or if that was him just running into the wall himself. It looked a bit like he was running into the wall himself. And Wise Wizard already out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now the question is, when does this get re-enabled? Because all of this is keeping the Dude PS very close. And as I say that, we get enabled once again. And the Dude PS is in hot pursuit of the Aston Martin, but can't get too ahead of himself. He's got to keep himself in check. He needs to be close out of that final corner and get a good exit out of that final corner. Keeps well away from the walls this time. Looks like he enjoys being the hunter more than the hunted. Now out through the final corner. A little bit of a moment. That'll harm him. But he's more than close enough to try and take this position back if he wishes to. He's got the battery advantage. He is draining the overtake. Now stops it as Arctic Ryan continues with the ERS. ERS now turns on for the Dude PS. Ryan's harvesting. Is the Dude PS going to go for the move? We barrel our way into turn one. Doesn't look like he's too concerned we're going for the move at the minute. Sits behind the Aston Martin. Now, maybe an opportunity to go for it. Down into turn three as Papa Rim manages to get through on Rassam. This is where the Dude PS is looking for the move then. He's draining the overtake. He's got the DRS, moves to the inside. And that is position gain. The Dude PS, the pole sitter, back to the lead. But that's a big moment into the wall and damage for the Alpine driver. And if there is anything you want to avoid around this circuit, it's damage. But the Dude PS a little bit too deep. And that is going to cost him as we've got a yellow flag. And that's Rassam into the wall as well. And big damage for the VCarb driver. He's definitely going to come in to need to repair that front wing. Lee Dog is doing all right for now. Furtos is up to third. Hawkeye and Ali now battle away. This is a big three-car battle here as we go through the castle section. Lee Dog and Tommy Turbo making contact as they make their way now towards the castle section. Tommy Turbo knows he shouldn't fight that. And Lee Dog now up into 7th place. But here's the big battle going on. Furtos, Hawkeye and Ali. This is going to get spicy as we make our way down to turn one. And I'd imagine that the Dude PS is going to be very close to the back of Arctic Ryan. But again, a big moment out of the final corner. He cannot keep that car under control on that final exit. But he's draining the overtake. He's draining the overtake. He's so close to the back of the Aston Martin. DRS now enabled. Is he going to be able to make the move as we go into turn one? He pulls alongside. He pulls ahead of the Aston Martin. And the Dude PS, even with the damage to the front wing, retakes the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix as we make our way out of turn 1. The order for 3rd, 4th and 5th is Furtos, Ali and Hawkeye, but this battle far from over yet as we've still got more contact going on into turn 1 between Tommy Turbo, Papa Rim and XRL Flavor. As we now make our way down towards turn 3, is Ali going to look for a move on Furtos? Just backs out of it. Furtos goes in a little bit deep, but it doesn't look like anything that his adversary is going to be able to try and capitalize on. Rassam has come into the pit lane to retire from the session, and Arctic Ryan has taken the position back away from the Dude PS. Yellow flag once again, and that's Tortuguita who's had a moment. There is damage, big damage, to the front wing of that Ferrari. I don't know if that was contact with another driver or self-induced, but we'll definitely have to come into the box to get that fixed. And Arctic Ryan is really putting down the pressure now, trying to get out of DRS. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to achieve that, but he is putting a bit of a gap between himself and the Dude PS. And this is ultimately not really working for him because the Dude PS is still very, very close to the back of that Aston Martin, who isn't draining any overtake. The Dude PS was draining a little bit, and this is going to be very close as we make our way into turn 1. Is there an opportunity opening up for the Alpine driver? He just decides against going for it. Further behind, we've still got Furtos, Ali and Hawkeye going for it. Lee Dog now up to 6th place and has about a 5.2 second gap to get to that battle, but that is a very scary sight. Lee Dog only about 7 seconds off the race lead after being so far behind, and we've still got 20 laps to go of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Hawkeye looking to go around the outside of Ali. That's a bold move as he tries to get through. Is it going to work though? The V-Carb runs in deep. Hawkeye now gets the better traction. He does technically get ahead, but now into the next chicane, right round the outside. What a move from the Aston Martin, but the V-Carb now with the switchback gets the move back again. Incredible racing between Ali and Hawkeye, and on top of it all, somehow Ali still comes out in 4th place. Absolutely mega stuff between these drivers. So much respect for each other, not a single bit of contact. Absolutely beautiful racing. It's almost like watching high-speed dancing here in Azerbaijan. And Hawkeye now has to try and set his sights on the main straight once more. Always little bits of contact with the wall here and there, and this is only going to be bringing Lee Dog into the fight, but I don't imagine Lee's going to find it easy to get through this trio with the way that they are racing and the way that they are fighting. This is not going to be something that is just done very easily, as now to the main straight we go once again to begin lap 7 of 26 here in Azerbaijan. DRS opens up for Hawkeye, hasn't got much battery, and Furtos, I must say, does look very comfortable in P3 at the minute. Tortuguita manages to get through on Vigo and up to 11th place. And Venom is coming into the pit lane for what I would imagine is quite an early stop. So are we going to see a front wing change on the front of that Mercedes? We aren't. So that is a very early stop for Venom. You would imagine definitely 2-stopping after pitting that early. There we see Furtos with a little bit of a mistake. I said he was running comfortably, but Ali putting him under pressure, and this is getting very close. As to the outside goes Ali now. Hawkeye's also getting involved. Ali takes the position away though. He's now up to 3rd place. Furtos down to 4th. Hawkeye still runs in 5th, but this battle far from over yet. These three giving us a phenomenal race. Is out in front. We've got a moment there, and that's Furtos. And the Dude PS is also involved and has been round. He gets a 10-second penalty for a severe collision with Ali. So was there contact between the Dude PS and Arctic Ryan? Because the Dude PS had a moment, then Furtos had his own moment. So the two Alpines both struggling at the same corner. That now promotes Ali to 2nd, Hawkeye to 3rd, Dude PS now down to 4th, Lee Dog up to 5th, and Furtos down to 6th, and Lee Dog now is right involved in this fight. And Arctic Ryan, leads out in front by 7.2 seconds. No pressure on him anymore. This battle is getting spicy, and you can see the dude PS struggling all the while and is going to lose the position to Lee Dog. That's very close to contact, and scraping the walls is the Alpine, but Lee Dog now sits in 4th place. What a crazy lap that was. And now we're on to lap 8 of 26 as we see both Alpines coming into the pit. So Furtos is going to be held up even more as we dive into the pit lane here. He's not going to be able to get serviced as quickly as possible. And you can see that wait time must feel like an absolute eternity as the dude PS has also got a service 10-second penalty. So Furtos is really being held up here. The dude PS finally, they start servicing that car. He's not repairing the front wing. Furtos finally now gets into the pit box. But while all that's been going on, Lee Dog up to 4th, right on the back of Hawkeye, who's right on the back of Ali. Ali, I do believe, has damage on the front wing. Yes, he's missing both end plates, is Ali. So this is absolutely astonishing. You can imagine Ali is struggling so much to keep that car straight in the corners. But then down the straight lines, he's not going to have any issue with turning or pace or anything like that. And in the corners, when he's going slowly, it's going to be very hard for people to try and overtake him. To the main straight we go then. Hawkeye sets after Ali, who's got more battery, but Hawkeye will have the DRS, and you can see he is struggling through those final couple of corners is Ali. So is Hawkeye about to take the position away? It doesn't look like it though, because Hawkeye doesn't have as much battery. Arctic Ryan now comes into the pits, and actually it's going to be Lee Dog that does the overtaking. Hawkeye just isn't able to fight it. And Lee Dog moves up into 2nd place. Now we'll just sit behind Ali, recharge that battery. And Lee Dog surely sees an opportunity where he can try and get himself into the fight for the lead of this race now. The undercut from Arctic Ryan, you'd imagine, will work. But Lee, as we've seen in previous races, will probably go quite long on this stint to make it a 1-stop. Arctic Ryan could still be 2-stopping. And this race, you just do not know how to call it. Absolutely anything could happen, and already everything has happened, it feels like. But I'm sure there is still so much more chaos to go, as we've still got 17 laps of this crazy Grand Prix left to unfold. So, to the main straight we go then. Lee Dog isn't going to go long, interestingly enough. He's coming into the pit lane. And this is definitely a different Lee Dog strategy that we've seen from in the past. Usually likes to go long. But Lee Dog obviously realizes the undercut threat from Arctic Ryan, who will go through inevitably. He was 7.2 seconds ahead or something like that, I think. But Lee Dog opts to get himself out of the battle, get into the pit lane. Now emerges in 7th place. Tommy Turbo and Papa Rim haven't pitted though, neither of Hawkeye and Ali. So to be fair, that is quite smart from Lee. Because while he'll have to overtake Venom and Tommy Turbo, and obviously Arctic Ryan if he wants to win, he's not going to have to worry about Hawkeye and Ali, nor will he have to worry about Papa Rim and Tommy Turbo, because they're inevitably going to have to come into pit. So very smart thinking from Lee Dog. Ali still leads out in front, actually building a gap on Hawkeye, interestingly enough, who does not have damage on the front wing of that Aston Martin. So the pace of Ali definitely shining through and carrying him here. And you cannot deny the pace at all. Papa Rim runs third, having not pit yet. Same with Tommy Turbo, running in fourth place on the hard compound tyres. Has not come in to box as of yet. Arctic Ryan now runs in fifth place. Venom runs sixth, with Lee Dog in seventh. XRL Flavor in eighth. Vigo still yet to pit, but has been caught up in so much drama today. Really, he needs a safety car to try and get back into this Grand Prix. Ali stays out. Hawkeye stays out. Papa Rim stays out. Papa Rim now comes into the pit lane then. Gets on a set of the hard compound tyres. I believe he was on medium, so he's done his 2 stops then. The Dude PS runs in 8th after that big moment we saw for him. And it was crazy. The 2 Alpines both having the same moment at the same time. Lee Dog now 1.2 seconds behind Venom, who's 6/10 behind Tommy Turbo. So this is going to get very, very close as we go down the main straight. Although it's not even going to get to the main straight, is it? Because Lee Dog sees the opportunity and is going for it now. And that's a bold move from Lee Dog. Knows that he needs to get past. And does so. So now it's the opportunity to get past Venom, who again pitted a couple of laps ago. Tommy Turbo gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Lee Dog does make his way up to 4th place. Hawkeye and Ali still doing battle out in front. As there, we hear more contact. Was that Ali going into the wall? It doesn't look like he sustained any more damage. But Hawkeye has got that little bit closer and is looking to try and get back in DRS. Ali going all or nothing on the battery, praying that Hawkeye doesn't get in the DRS. Both of them using practically all their battery. And Hawkeye is going to get the DRS then. Although has a bit of a moment on the exit there and is going to lose time. Not much battery either. So it looks like that's going to be your running order as we move on to lap 13 of this Grand Prix. Arctic Ryan still runs in 3rd, a little bit shy of that battle, but will inevitably catch up unless those guys come into pit. Lee Dog running alone in 4th, but fastest lap goes to Lee Dog, and that gap that was 7 seconds before the pit stops, now only 2.2 between Arctic Ryan and Lee Dog. Papa Rim manages to get through on the Dude PS and up into 7th place. We have just reached half race distance, and this race has been absolutely crazy. Hawkeye still right on the back of Ali now. That DRS really bringing him back into play. And there you can see a bit of contact. Hawkeye, I would have said that was a love tap, but it was a little bit more than a love tap. There was almost like a love shove right into the back of the V-carb. You can just see the amount of pace that the Aston Martin has. Ali doing absolutely everything he can, but those tyres will be wearing a little bit more because of that front wing damage. Arctic Ryan now right on the back of this battle, and this is only going to be holding Ryan up because now here's Lee Dog in the DRS, and this is what Ryan wanted to avoid but really couldn't. It was an inevitability, and now Lee Dog right on the back of this 4-car train. This is your battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Ali, Hawkeye, Ryan and Lee Dog. Ryan and Lee have both pitted, and Lee, with such a better exit, was looking at going for it immediately. But now the advantage swings towards Ryan. Lee using a bit of battery, but realizes that so is Ryan, so won't go for it this lap. He's going to have the DRS. Both of the two leaders now coming into the pit lane. I think Hawkeye actually stayed out. He did, so Ryan now goes through into the lead. Hawkeye, is he going to try and do a job for his teammate? It just doesn't look like he has the pace. And now Lee Dog moves into second. So the running order is how it should be. Lee Dog versus Ryan. The showdown begins, but is it going to be over before it even started? Because here comes Lee Dog down the inside. Ryan holds the outside line. That's very close to contact as they make their way through turn 3. Ryan now has the inside line. Now looking for the switchback is Lee. But with the better traction, Ryan does keep the position. Incredible battling between these two. And on top of it all, Ryan manages to stay ahead. But for how long? Little bit of a wobble there for Lee Dog as he tried to make his way out of the castle section, but gaining so much on the Aston Martin of Ryan. Hawkeye has already completely been dropped. He's not a factor anymore, having not pitted yet. Vigo did come into the pits about 2 laps ago to bolt on the medium compound tyres. But here is your opportunity then, Lee. Are you going to take it? He's gaining on the back of that Aston Martin. The Aston's got the ERS enabled, but hot lap for the Sauber just looks a little bit quicker. DRS now enabled. To the inside goes Lee Dog, and that is the position gained from 14th to 1st. The Sauber now leads. Hawkeye comes into the pit lane, and Lee Dog now finally takes back exactly what I imagine he feel he should have had in qualifying, and that is top spot. Ryan will try and fight this back, or at least stick with him. But with the pace that we've seen from Lee in the past, I don't know how possible that is. Lee has pulled that gap then just over a second now. Ryan draining the battery to desperately get back into it. We've got a yellow flag in the middle sector. I believe that was for Tommy Turbo. Is there into the wall goes Venom. An exact carbon copy of Charles Leclerc in 2019. Somehow escapes with only a tiny bit of damage. Although, actually, no. Now that I look on second opinion, that is not tiny damage whatsoever. That is massive damage to the front wing of that Mercedes. Will definitely have to come in to change that. Arctic Ryan is still sticking with Lee, to be completely fair to him. Just doesn't really look like he's got the pace to try and get back past. You can see the younger tyres as well for Lee. Ali manages to get through on the Dude PS and up into 5th place. His next target will be XRL Flavor, who pitted a long time ago. 9 lap old hards for him. And you would imagine Ali will just rock up to the back of Flavor with the medium tyres as well. I must say, I've been very impressed with Ali. The damage on that front wing, definitely quite large to say the least, missing both end plates, but still managing to carry massive pace. Papa Rim runs in 3rd place, and you must say, Papa Rim has been quite an outside shout, sorry, but looks very well on for a podium position. Runs in 3rd, pitted the lap after Lee Dog, to be fair, so definitely not going to struggle on those tyres. XRL Flavor is right behind, but 4 laps the difference in those tyres. I think the only man that can try and strip that away from Papa Rim is Ali, who has got great pace and is on the medium compound tyres. So that's definitely going to be a battle to watch come the end of the race, as Ali makes his way through the castle section, still gaining on XRL Flavor. The gap around 1.8 seconds as we go through the castle. And that time just gradually coming down. He's got to get past Flavor and then gain another about 2.3 seconds to get to Papa Rim. Hawkeye manages to get through on the Dude PS in behind. And you do have to feel for the Dude PS after that moment. Was running very comfortably 2nd. Obviously took pole position. But in the race, it just seems to have fallen away from him. Tommy Turbo, the only man currently with a penalty, and big damage on the front wing of that McLaren. I wonder what's happened there to Tommy Turbo. As the Dude PS now comes in to the pits once again. Papa Rim, I would say he looks good for it. Ali is right up to the back of XRL Flavor, but all the time that these guys are doing battle, that's only going to extend the gap that Ali then has to try and gain. We've got 8 laps left of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, so definitely not a small amount of time for Ali to try and gain that time back. The question is, will those medium tyres still be good enough? And Hawkeye with a full front wing, I do believe, as we watch this shot rolling past. Hawkeye with a full front wing and a lap younger medium tyres right on the back of Ali. He's definitely going to be one to watch as well. If he can try and clear Ali, he could potentially be the man that could try and take that away from Papa Rim. So as we make our way towards the main straight then, the man with the most battery is Ali. Nearly 100% as we came down the the main straight, draining all of that battery, gets the DRS open. This will surely be an easy pass. Blast through 220 mile an hour. The V-Carb was doing. Is Hawkeye going to be able to try and get through? That's a long way back. Daniel Ricciardo-esque from Hawkeye. And he makes the move, stick up into 5th place. So good time in there for Hawkeye. Ali's got a lot more battery and is using that battery. Hawkeye chooses not to. The question is, will Ali be able to keep Hawkeye out of the DRS? Or will Hawkeye just have that little bit of better grip to try and gain back up to the V-Carb and then to the Williams out in front? Lee Dog now leads by 8.1 seconds, and that is a big, big gap that he has grown out in front. But since getting into the lead, it really wasn't a question whether he was going to win this race or not. It was by how many seconds he was going to win it by. And Lee Dog, it looks like it's going to be over 10 at this rate with the gain of that Sauber. And it is just crazy watching Lee race around. It's just so quick. It flows so neatly. It's exactly everything that you would want a lap around this circuit to be. Arctic Ryan has done a fantastic job though, led for a very long time, fought the dude PS when he needed to, built the gaps when he needed to. Unfortunately for him, just didn't have the pace today to compete with Lee, but a very, very deserved P2 this should be. Paparin, as we've mentioned, currently running third, 6.1 second gap to Ali behind him, as him and Hawkeye still do battle over 4th place. XRL Flavor making his way into the pit lane. I would wonder if he's maybe going to go on the soft tyres here for a very, very short stint. It is going to be the mediums that get bolted on to that McLaren, and he re-emerges. I believe this will be in 7th place, as Venom, you can see on the main straight on the left-hand side of your screen, goes through. The dude PS runs in 8th place, and Exfertos runs 9th. Both of those drivers having very promising starts to this race. Definitely withering away as time went on. Definitely things to grow on for both the Alpines. Tortuguita running in 10th. He's been in a bit of the wars this race, as has Tommy Turbo, who's coming in to serve what looks like a 10-second penalty, actually. And I must admit, I don't remember him picking that up, but manages to get that all serviced, gets the new front wing back on, and will emerge in 11th place. Vigo really has had a race that he will not want to remember. 12th place currently for the Red Bull driver in 2 minutes behind the rest of the field. I believe has been lapped by everyone, bar Tommy Turbo, as Lee Dog makes his way down the main straight once more and is coming into the pit lane. This is very confusing. Arctic Ryan down the main straight. The Sauber makes his way into his pit box. Arctic Ryan now retakes the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Lee Dog will emerge in 3rd on new medium tyres. Has about a 5-second gap to the leader. That's very interesting from Lee. Maybe missing some on-track action, deciding he's going to pit again to try and get some more overtaking done. Very interesting. So Paparim now runs in 2nd. Then Arctic Ryan leads. And this is your running order, ladies and gentlemen. Lee Dog, a very late pit stop, has now got to get the DRS on Paparim, get past Paparim, then gain up to the back of Ryan and take the position away again. You would imagine he's got the pace to do it, but this definitely invokes a bit of risk in case, you know, maybe there's a crash or a safety car now, let's say. This would really harm Lee Dog's race. So definitely a big gamble for the Sauber driver. He is already right up on the back of Paparim, though, who has got plenty of battery to fight Lee down the main straight. But Lee is very, very close, has the tyre advantage, and has plenty of battery of his own. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out then, as the ERS gets enabled for Paparim. ERS gets enabled for Lee Dog. And it looks like Paparim just accepts that that is not his position to fight. Lee Dog goes through. Paparim actually, very wisely, gets the DRS, but Arctic Ryan's coming into the pit lane. Paparim now retakes the position from Lee Dog, and this is now your battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Lee Dog up the inside. Is he going to be able to try and make that move stick? Paparim around the outside keeps the position, but now with the DRS, you would imagine surely Paparim is going to get overtaken here by Lee Dog, but has plenty of battery to try and fight. Is Lee going to try and sneak it up the inside? No, he isn't. Arctic Ryan's now all the way down to 5th, by the way. A 9-second gap to that battle of Ali and Hawkeye. Lee Dog finally does manage to get through on Paparim and is weaving all over the place. So Paparim now runs 2nd. Ryan surely isn't going to have the time to gain these positions back. He's got 4 laps to do it. But it's an 8-second gap. He needs to gain sort of 2 seconds a lap, really. And then he's got to get past the pair of them. This is baffling. I would have completely expected Ryan to just stay out. And even though it was unlikely, Ryan stick ahead of Lee. Because at worst, you're still only going to finish 2nd. This is astonishing stuff. Here in the latter stages of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, we're currently watching Lee from the helicopter cam, who's just making his way around the final corner to begin lap 23 of 26 of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And you can see weaving all the way down the main straight, almost waving hello to us here at home. Paparim runs 2nd, and Arctic Ryan actually is doing more than enough than he needs to do to try and gain. Here goes Hawkeye around the outside of Ali. A battle like this is really going to cost, and into the wall goes Hawkeye, and Arctic Ryan is going to gain a bunch of time back. Damage there for the front wing of Hawkeye, and that was always going to happen when you try and go around the outside of turn 1. Hawkeye now picks up damage. The gap 2.1 seconds between himself and Ali. And surely you would imagine he will just pull over to the side and let Arctic Ryan through. What a crazy night in Azerbaijan this has been. It feels like we've seen it all, and somehow we've only had a virtual safety car. We have not had a full safety car in this race. Although, to be fair, we have only had one retirement, or true retirement, that being Wise Wizard. Rassan came into the pits and retired himself. But even that sort of, I think it was about lap 6, lap 7, where we had that big conundrum of Furtos and the DPS round and the big hold-up, or even lap 1 when we had, you know, Lee Dog involved and we had Wise Wizard completely backwards out of turn 2. You would have expected to see at least a safety car there, maybe even a red flag. Arctic Ryan is now right on the back of his Aston Martin compatriot, though. Makes his way towards the inside. Has to back out of it, though. Quite almost panicky, in a way, was Arctic Ryan there. Hawkeye draining his battery, but doesn't have any left. So Ryan should be able to make the move through here, and does so up into 4th place. Now has about a 1.1 second gap if he wants to try and get into the DRS, or get past, sorry, Ali. That gap is really coming down now. Arctic Ryan right on the back of Ali, potentially sensing an opportunity to try and make a move here. Is gaining on the back of the V-Car, but the V-Car with more battery. We've got a yellow flag down at turn 1. That's for an Alpine, and I believe that was the dude PS, who once again is having an off-track escapade. Ali and Arctic Ryan still doing battle, and Ryan does manage to get that move done then, so he's up into 3rd. But he's given away 2nd place. 8.7 seconds, the gap to Paparim. 2 laps left to bring that gap down and then take the position away. Surely he has just sacrificed 2nd for 3rd. out in front. Lee now leads by 7.7 seconds. Big clout into the wall there for Lee as we picked up on board. No damage done to the front wing of that Sauber. Does almost look like this is a fastest lap attempt here from Lee. Another yellow flag, and the dude PS is out of the race. Now, was that a collision with someone else? We're not going to be able to pick it up in time. Lee Dog does set the fastest lap of the race. It's too late for a safety car, otherwise that would have been a safety car. But our pole sitter now out. And you have to feel for the dude PS after a race like this. Started from pole, dropped to second, had a great battle with Arctic Ryan. And it all just seemed to slip away. And now, the dude PS, unfortunately, is going to end the Azerbaijan Grand Prix not scoring a point. You have to give all credit to this man, though. You may think, tuning into these streams, it might be a bit of a predictable outcome. You know, you think maybe a Verstappen 2023 or even, let's say, just a Red Bull 2023. But Lee Dog, there's a reason why he wins most weeks, and that's because he puts the most work in. It's honestly quite something to see this man drive, especially around such a technical track as is the Azerbaijan street circuit. And what a way to win a Grand Prix like this. Disqualified in qualifying, 14th on the grid. And now starting the final lap as the leader. Papa Rim has done a great job, has really been underground this race. But after Ryan's strategy, he's going to come home for second place. And what a second place this is going to be for the Williams man. Arctic Ryan led for a very, very long time. It almost seemed it was an inevitability that Lee Dog would eventually get through, but looked very on for second place until that, I must say, quite confusing late strategy call to come into the pit lane. Ali, again, a great race. Technically took pole position in qualifying, but with that 5th-place grid penalty, was demoted to 5th, picked up the damage, and that just seems like it was where the race sort of fell away. Hawkeye's had a really good race, but just a bit stuck behind Ali with his damage. Has had the pace to overtake him, but just hasn't been able to when he's needed to. And that's ultimately been the story of his race. Venom has struggled a little bit, but it will be a strong P6 for the Mercedes man. Flavor exactly the same. A little bit of struggles, but a good haul of points. Ex-Furtos, big moment for him whilst running 3rd. Could have been much more today. Tortuguita, Tommy Turbo and Vigo all caught up in their own drama and through no fault of their own down towards the lower end of the points. But for Lee Dog, it is yet again another crowning moment for this man who looks absolutely unstoppable wherever he goes in the VRL calendar. And this is just one more to the tally of a season filled with the biggest of highs. As he comes across the line now, it is Lee Dog that wins in Azerbaijan. And what a way to win. Papa Rim is going to take second place. And a great drive from the Williams driver to bring it home for second. 15 laps on the hard compound tyres and a well-deserved second place. Ryan comes home for 3rd after that late strategy call to come in for the new tyres. Ali is going to come home for 4th place after that massive damage sustained to his front wing very, very early on. Hawkeye will follow him home in 5th place. It's then Venom who will come across the line to finish in 6th. XRL Flavor comes home in 7th with Ex-Furtos battling away with Tortuguita to the line. But it's Furtos, then Tortuguita. Tommy Turbo will finish in 10th place, albeit about 40 seconds behind. And then Vigo, about a minute and 43 behind, will come home in 11th. We had 3 retirees in this race, those being the Dude PS, Rassam, and Wise Wizard. But all credit goes to this man here, Lee Dog, number 99. Will that be a number 1 come the start of next season? It most certainly looks like it. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a privilege it was to watch an Azerbaijan Grand Prix like that. An incredible feat, an incredible event, and it's Lee Dog that stands on top. My name's been JP. I've been your commentator. Thank you very much for watching. And wherever you are in the world, from me to you, take care.